Whew, I should have checked my hair. God, is the lighting that bad in here? Oh man. Well, it is what it is. I can't do much about that. You get those digital LED bulbs and you think that they're just going to brighten up the room. I got one other light in here, but it's probably not going to do any good. I It's not like there's anything behind me to light up anyway. The only thing here that needs lighting is me. So, what good does that do? Oh, let me switch over and make sure I've got live chat visible so that everybody's comments, all one of you, can be seen. Oh God, how long has it been since I've actually been on a live stream? I don't know. It's usually I'm on BTM reviews about once a week. Oh, Tehillim29, how are you doing? Shalom and good to see you. Good to see you too. Too long, yeah. It has been a while since I tried doing one of these. In fact, how long has it been? Let me see. Let me go back at my live stream list. And I'm just going to check. I remember the last live stream I was procrastinating at setting up my new computer, which I finally did get set up. And oh God, I just didn't really feel like doing it. And when was that? That was 3 months ago. I have not live streamed in 3 months. That's crazy. I wouldn't have thought that. Yeah, you just looked it up too. Good Lord. Yeah, according to my channel profile, I I guess I've just been on BTM reviews so many times that it's like, okay, why live stream? Because at a good clip, I could get on there like once or twice a week, and be releasing reviews and stuff, and all the other time I'd be releasing reviews. Ha 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 ha. Let's see. Am I going to e-bag this time? Yes, I am. I will be e-bagging the F out of this channel. I actually have a specific plan for e-bagging, and that's involving you guys helping me pick which title I'm going to be reviewing next, because I've got 16 of these freaking things on the board. And I'm looking among them and I'm like, okay, well, I know I could do this one for utilitarian reasons. I know these people asked for a review. I knew these people, they were just kind of like, okay, I bought their stuff, so they sent it to me. But, I'm just like, I want to throw in kind of an element of chance into it and an element of money if possible. But that all depends on you. We could wind up selecting the book right off the bat, and then nobody cares about the rest. So I figure what I'm going to do, I'm going to try something new on this live stream too. Oh, wait, Tehillim29 says the Rippaverse Omnibus is finally on its way. And that was kind of interesting because wasn't there a video with Eric July like holding the Rippaverse Omnibus in one hand and like, moving it around and stuff, and people were saying, oh, that must be a shell or something. I don't know about that. I mean, come on. Some people's grip strength is better than others, and for all I know, he's got wide hands or something. I have some hardcover omnibuses that I can grab in one hand. I don't know. It'd probably hurt if I tried to like move it around like that, but a soft cover, it's probably not as heavy as you might think it is. Oh goodness, yeah, the Rippaverse Omnibus. I'm surprised that that's on the way. I really am, because that would mean that Salvage and Sersha have to be done already, because those were supposed to be included in there. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try this. I've never done this before. I'm going to go over to the Rippaverse site, and I'm going to actually share my screen. Oh God, is this going to like expose all my credit card information or stuff? Let's find the Rippaverse Omnibus first. Discover all comics. Let me go to Omnibus. Sorry, no comics matched your criteria. Okay, they got a great website. Rippaverse. Let's just do Rippaverse Omnibus. Sorry, no comics matched your criteria. What the hell good is this site for? Collections, not collections, discover, store. That's what I need to go to, store. I'm always going to comics. Why do they even have comics if everything that you're able to buy is under store? So collection, no, not collections, collectibles, no, books, no, here, books, no, not books. Oh God, come on. Comics is where they put the omnibus. The Rippaverse Omnibus #1. All right, here we go. Let's see now. TLM says, I found a way around that in relation to finding the omnibus on the website. Well, I managed to find it. So let's see. You know what? No products were found matching. Did they just? I bet they're sold out. I bet they're sold out of the thing, and so they're not even featuring it anymore. All right, let me just see if I can find an earlier. Let's see, Rippaverse omnibus, or maybe. Oh God, do you think they printed it with less than supposed to be in there? Holy crap! If that were true, that would be insane. Rippaverse omnibus years 1 through 3. Here we go. All right, let's go down the list here and let me figure out if I can stream this crap. Yeah, it is sold out according to C3G. C3J, sorry. Where is the share screen? Oh, that's down here. Okay, share screen. All right, I'm going to do Rippaverse Omnibus years 1 through 3, share. So how's this look? All righty then. Woo! Rippaverse Omnibus years 1 through 3. Now, these are the stories that were supposed to be in the book. And that's going to be ISOM number 1 through 3, obviously. Alpha Core. Now, I guess Alpha Core number 1, but not Alpha Core number 2. Bloodruth number 1, but not Bloodruth number 2. Holy shit, did they cut out what they were supposed to be putting in here? Gooding the Polymath, we know that came out. Yaira number 1 through number 3. Horseman, Welcome to Florida Spark, and Horseman number 1. Holy crap. Wow. Yeah, I guess because this is like just an omnibus of the first 3 years, they are going to have a cutoff. But my God, you know, to put Welcome to Florida Spark and Horseman number 1 in there, where Horseman number 1, it's not even a complete story. And not only that, but the cliffhanger just ends off with him running into a firefight, and you don't know what happens next. And they should have added at least a couple more pages from that they wound up putting into Horseman number 2 into Horseman number 1 in order to fix that. But oh my God, I would be pissed. I would be pissed. Oh, I just spit on my computer. Let's see what else we got. Zaylin, What Kills Must Die. How's this looking on here? Zaylin, yeah, Kills Must Die. I'm just tickled pink about the fact that I'm able to share my screen. I had not tried that before. A Great War of Separation number 1 and number 2. Okay, so give us the first 2 issues of a 4-issue limited series. Salvage and Sersha. Are those actually going to be in there, or are they just going to be the stories from Ripazine number 1 and number 2? I'm so curious because, oh God. Dirty Deeds is supposed to be in there by Carol Brown. They were actually adding stuff here. And I guess that makes a little bit of sense. I guess they're trying to shove as much as they possibly can. Oh, look at that. Catch and Kill from Ripazine number 4. Oh, Dirty Deeds must be Ripazine number 3 then. It must not be. Oh my God, this is what they put in the Ripazine collection. Salvage, Sersha, Dirty Deeds, and Catch and Kill. Those are the 4 stories from Ripazine 1 through 4. So these are not the actual books, Salvage and Sersha. Man, I'm so glad I've already bought all this stuff that, you know. Lord. TLM29 says, I got the main cover for it, not the variant. The A series, but just do them all. No, God, no. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, oh Lord, I can't imagine like trying to do Bloodruth at this point. I mean, or Horseman. I mean, those are the 2 that I've just absolutely flat dropped. I can't be bothered at this point. Norfolk, A Glorious Death. That's going to be number 1 of a 4-issue series, and then Saints and Sinners number 1. So, oh my goodness. Okay, let me stop sharing on that one. So yeah, okay. Let me go ahead and do what I came to do first, and then we can get back into some of the subject matter that I came to talk about as well. So here's what's going to happen. I have got a Wheel of Names. This is the website Wheel of Names. I'm going to share my screen on that. And it is a random name picker. Share tab audio. Yes. Okay. Share. Here we go. And I have the 16 comics that I already possess. These are comics that I have in hand. And I need to figure out which of these I'm going to I'm going to be doing. Hello, Scorpio 8903. I need to figure out which of these titles I am going to review next. And honestly, there's so many different things to do here that I am just mind blown. I've collected so much stuff and I don't know what it is I want to do. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to spin the wheel. And I'm gonna the default is gonna be that I'm gonna review whatever I spin, whatever the spin lands on, that's what I'm gonna review. But you will have the opportunity, if you are not satisfied with the choice, you will have the opportunity for a super chat to ask for a respin. So we'll see. This could land on something that y'all are completely okay with, and then we don't have to do any respins, and I don't get any money, but oh, woe is me. but we have to at least get something on the board. I've got 4 review videos already done and in the can, but I just don't know what to do next. And I've got all of these different options. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spin first, and then I'm going to go around the wheel. What are the options? Well, I'm going to spin first, and I am going to then go around the wheel and tell y'all what all the different options are. And then you can decide on what it is. Now you can see the wheel, right? You can see the wheel, and you can see the different names that are in there. Yeah, tell me you can at least see that the screen sharing is working. Now, can anybody confirm that you can actually see that the wheel is visible to y'all? You don't have to see the center picture of me with the bear, but I at least need to know that it's working as far as the is that a bear raping you? Maybe. Okay, we see the Wheel of Death. 16 titles divided into 4 different colors. No. No, 16 titles divided into 4 different votes. No, that's not how it's going to work. We're not going to do that. The A Serious Man. Okay, now the fact that you're saying what wheel A Serious Man, the fact that you are the A Serious Man tells me you're not serious about that. That bear picture was taken in Union City, Tennessee, and it was at a museum up there. Let me see if I can find what museum that is. Oh, wait. Okay, hold on. Let me, before you distract me, you were trying to distract me onto an entirely different topic. And what we need to do right now is spin the wheel and see what title comes up first. So let's do that first. All right, what is going to be my default choice? Now, first, I'm going to shuffle to make sure this is entirely random, and then we're going to spin. All right, is everyone ready? Here we go. Here we go. Walter. This is a title about a young Ben Franklin who gets caught up in a time travel crusade. So that's pretty much all I know about the series. So, Silence Do-Good by Sean Salter is what's up next, unless you want to pick something different. So, Silence Do-Good is on the board. Let me see if I can make it. This feels rigged. You know what? What's hilarious is I actually told Sean that his was going to be the next one after this. So that's where we are now. And I honestly, I totally understand where you're coming from, but I swear I have nothing to do with this site as far as how the wheels end up. But I'm kind of surprised that this was the first choice. So let me go ahead and put in the chat. Let me pin a chat. How do I pin a chat? Is Godlike on this? I do not have Godlike in hand. That is why I did not put it on the board. If I did have Godlike already, then that would be on the board. But these are the ones I already own. So of these 16, I can start working on one right away, and that's basically what I wanted to do. So we've got Silence Do-Good up, and let me see if can I let's see. So first choice, Silence Do-Good. All right, can I pin this? Pin message. All right, first choice, Silence Do-Good, and let me. Oh, can I edit that? Okay, let me remove that because I want to say. Let's see. So, all right. How are we going to do this? Winner. Winner. Silence. Do good. $2 to respin. $5. Okay, $2 equals respin. $5 equals respin plus entry. And let's pin that. Sorry, I'm silent while I'm typing. How do I pin this? Oh, replace pin message. Yes, there we go. All right, winner, silence do good. Now, if you're not satisfied with this choice, and we will go around and look at the other choices, but if you're not satisfied with the choice, if you send me a $2 super chat saying respin, or if you send me a $5 super chat and you put one of the titles in here, or if it's $10, then I'll put 2 entries. But anyway, for each $5 that you donate, I will put an additional lasting entry on the board. It's not going to go away from live stream to live stream unless I actually select that thing. So has just asked a really salient point. I see Graveyard Shift though. Which one are you going to review the entire series? No, I will review the first one or as much of the first volume as it makes sense to review. Because you know how I am, I'm always going through and I'm doing these books like, some at a time or something. And I don't want to like bog down and like try and go through the entire series at once. I'll just go ahead and take one book and I will probably leave the entry on the list and then do reviews on the future books that I have. So we'll come back and we'll be, spinning the wheel some more at various times in the future. And eventually we'll get through all of these. But if I do Graveyard Shift number 1, that means I'm going to leave Graveyard Shift on the wheel. And the next time it comes up in a spin, I would do Graveyard Shift number 2. As far as Silence Do Good goes, now Silence Do Good is a trade paperback with one story arc contained in 3 issues, I think. 3 or 4 issues. I don't remember which. And I will either go through the entire arc or I will pick one issue and do it. It just depends. And then we can come back and, spin for whatever is left. So, says like entry? Fuck. Like, okay, fine. That's fine. But if you're interested in seeing something else reviewed other than Silence Do Good next, then a $2 super chat saying respin will get you that opportunity. So what are the other books that we have on the wheel? We have got Flying Sparks, but do you want me to do it according to the list over here? Or do you want me to do it according to the wheel? Let's just go around the wheel. Okay, so we've got Flying Sparks by John Delarose. It's the story of a superhero or a superpowered couple, one on the villain side of things, one on the hero side of things. Jawbreakers by your boy Zack and John Malin. That one, if I remember correctly, is about a team of superheroes who are basically out of the superhero business and now they're mercenaries. Rippaverse Trinity. This has Isom, Yaira, and Alpha Core, all the number 1 issues of those, but those are remastered. And what I would like to do in that case is I will go back and compare the original ISOM number 1 against the remastered ISOM number 1, because they're going to have different writing, different lettering, different artwork. And the same goes for Yaira and Alpha Core. I think the only thing that might have changed in those books is the lettering. So I will be comparing the originals against the remastered versions that appear in the Rippaverse Trinity. And I'll probably do those like one issue at a time. What else have we got? Silence Do Good, of course, is our current selection. So if you don't like that selection, you have your opportunity for a $2 respin. Starblades by Kyle Ritter. I have no idea what that book is about. It's just got a lot of shiny stuff on the cover. That's all I know. Sherlock Holmes Leviathan by Mike Barron. That one has to do with him meeting Captain Nemo, and I believe what's her name? Sherlock Holmes, Lady Love Irene Adler is part of that as well. You've got Lady Hootler by Mrs. G. I don't know if you remember, but Mrs. G did the one, the Descent into Debauchery video that I did that was showing the rather orgasmic woman whose delight allowed her to travel through time. I don't know what exactly this book is, but it's going to be along those lines. Heroic Tales by John Bua, also known as his YouTube channel's name, John's Long Box. John's Long Box is a channel where he just gets on and talks about his comic book memories and stuff. And he has got a new hero called the Patriarch. And apparently, this guy is a family man. The Patriarch, the character, is a family man. And so we're going to see how that impacts his career. I already have Heroic Tales #1 in the can, by the way, that review. So if we pick Heroic Tales here, it's going to be Heroic Tales #2. Graveyard Shift by John Malin. From what I understand, it's like, what if the universal monsters were superheroes? What if you had, which sounds a whole lot like Creature Commandos, doesn't it? I mean, isn't that the basis of Creature Commandos? Like you have the Frankenstein's monster, the Wolfman, and the vampire, and those are all the old monsters that get turned into like superhero types. So okay. Maybe it's just because it's more of a superhero genre as opposed to a military genre. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. Inglorious Rex, of course, that is by Shane Davis, and that is about monster martial arts. I actually have done the review on Inglorious Rex #1, but I will be revisiting Inglorious Rex #1 because I want to show what I would have done. Now that it's, years down the road, Inglorious Rex #3 is already coming out. This is not going to be spoilerific at this point. So I want to show the end of Inglorious Rex #1 in more detail. And I want to show the issue overall and tell people, here's what I would have done to fix this book. Not just for the things that I already said about it in my review that I recently remastered and released, but also things that I didn't reveal because I didn't want to have too many spoilers about the book. I wonder if today, given what I know now about doing reviews, because Inglorious Rex #1 was one of my earliest Comicsgate reviews, and I just wonder, well, I don't know how early it was actually, but I wonder how, if I really would have been that protective of it at the time. I mean, Inglorious Rex #1 and #2 had just come out. Well, Inglorious Rex #1, I think, had come out the previous year. So, so the previous year would have been, spoilery time. Maybe I didn't need to be so protective of it for Inglorious Rex #2. And Inglorious Rex #2, I read that and I was like, well, until Inglorious Rex #3 comes out, I don't even know if I want to review this one, but I probably will at some point. So anyway, I'm getting back to what I was saying. Because I didn't want to spoil the ending of Inglorious Rex #1, I held back some things that I think it's safe to reveal now in terms of how the book ended, how I would have reframed things, how I would have, done a better setup, what I would have done as far as the characters go, that kind of stuff. So I want to revisit Inglorious Rex #1. Terror in the Trenches by Von Klaus. That one involves the public domain character, the Black Terror, where he is fighting Nazis in World War II, I think. Rock and Roll Ninja by Chuck Dixon and Matt Barr. That's a black and white comic where you've got some Vietnam, I think you got some Vietnam vets who learn ninjutsu and form a rock band. Something like that. I have no idea. I just have a copy at hand. Wraith of God by Aaron Lopresti. It's the supernatural westerner where it's kind of a, looks kind of like Marvel's old Knight Rider / Ghost Rider character from the West. Last time that guy made an appearance was West Coast Avengers. Gabriel and the Guardians, one of the very first Rippaverse titles. That one comes out of Angel Studios and is actually a prelude to the animated series. Blood and the Sword by Richard Embree. It's a fighting fantasy Game of Thrones kind of style book. And The Maniac by Johnny Rockets. You've got, I'm not actually sure what this one is. It kind of reminds me a little bit of The Heckler by Keith Giffen. So we'll see. It's supposed to be kind of a superhero humor comic. So that's what's on the menu. Now, let me ask you this. And, I know there's only like 6 people on the stream. So this is not exactly a random polling or anything like that. Would you have preferred it if I had listed out all of the titles first before doing the spin? At this point, because I just thought, okay, well, in the time that I spend going around, I guess it probably would have been a better thing for me to build the anticipation, tell you what all of these different titles are, and then spin it at that point, and then you could say, "Oh, okay, now that I know what's come up, I know what it is I'm getting, and I know what it is I'm missing, so that in case you wanted to, contribute for a respin, then we could do that." But we'll see. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go ahead and do this tonight, was I just wanted to play around with this and see what happened. So anyway, all right. So Silence Do Good, that is the top title for now. Let me know if anyone wants a respin. What was I going to talk about next? I forget. Oh, yes, the Union City, Tennessee Museum. All right, let me go over to that and see if I can find that. Union City, Tennessee Museum. And you wonder, why the hell is he talking about that? And that's because, oh, Union City, Tennessee Museum. Why would he be talking about a Union City, Tennessee Museum? Well, that would be because, Discovery Park of America. Share this tab instead. All right, Hey, look at this. Woohoo! So this is Discovery Park, and a museum about enhancing education for children as well as adults. Impact report. I have no freaking idea. I went to Union City, Tennessee back in the day when I worked for one of these big corporations, and I had to fly out there because we had a manufacturing plant out there. So this is a museum, heritage park, and oh, look. There's the bear. They have that right in the lobby. So I did not actually have to buy a ticket to get into this place. This is like right up front and center. So I took a selfie of myself with the bear, and this is the place where it all took. There we go. Here we are. Here is the bear. Yep, that's the one. But I use that as I use that picture as the cover picture for my book. What is it? Try to Blend In, which is, oh, let me see if I can bring that up. This is harder than it looks. I mean, Ethan's got his stuff nailed down as far as try to blend in. Okay, what have I got? No, I don't want to put that up. Let me just take, hell with it. Okay, I won't put that up. I need to be better prepared for this kind of stuff, but this is the first time I've ever shared my screen for a live stream. I don't know what I'm doing. I used that picture of myself with the bear to be the cover photo on my ebook, Try to Blend In, which is a 1,000 tweet. Back in the old days when tweets were 144 characters, or was it 144 or 140? 140, wasn't it? 140 characters or less. You had to fit everything into that short space in order to do a tweet. That's why it was called microblogging. And so I actually I downloaded my entire library from one of my old accounts. This was before I got banned from Twitter. And I collected 1,000 of the ones that I thought were the best or the funniest. And I collected those in a 1,000 tweet collection that is available on Amazon.com in case anyone wants to pick that up. Usually I do a sale on that every once in a while. I haven't done one in a while, though. I might try doing one. One of these days I gotta put out a collection of short stories because I've got almost 50 of those things written now, and I gotta write another one this weekend. So I enter all these writing contests, and these writing contests are cool because what they'll do is they will give you like a few prompts to get your ideas started, and they'll say it has to be in this genre, it has to have this kind of character, and it has to have this theme. And then they let you go, and they give you like anywhere between 100 and 3,000 words to make up a story, depending on the category. Short story category is going to be like 3,000 words, and then it goes down in tiers from there. You've got the flash fiction category at 1,000 words, then you've got 500, 250, 100, and you even have a rhyming category on one of the contest sites. And then they give you nice things where if you don't like the prompts you were given, you can do a redraw on the prompts. This last contest I was in, I had to book it and figure out, okay, with these prompts, what can I do? Because I went past the deadline on where I could redraw the prompts, and it it was like just ass over elbows trying to do anything. But yeah, I've got another one of those short stories due by this Sunday. Okay, let's get off of that and get back to the, I went back to, I was saying, here we go. This is what I was trying to get back to. See, I don't know what I'm doing. I've been talking about an entirely different tab on here, and nobody's bothered to correct me. Like, what the hell is he talking about? I guess we're just going to multitask and do something else while he's talking, which is fine, Okay, so Silence Do Good. It looks like that's going to be my next review, unless somebody pitches in $2 and asks for a respin. So, and also higher amounts will get you entries on the wheel. So if you have any questions about any of that, make sure you ask, and we'll see how it goes from here. So what did I want to cover? I don't know. I don't know if I want to cover much of anything tonight, because I have all these suggested topics that I bring up, and then I think, well, I don't know if any of this is going to be relevant to the news after a while. But why don't we talk about the fact that Scott Adams died? Scott Adams is the creator of Dilbert, if you remember the Dilbert cartoon. And that has been out of syndication for a while after he made some interesting remarks on his live stream that had to do with race relations in America. And that was kind of a sad, it was sad to see him canceled like that, because I know what he was trying to do was spark a conversation about the fact that there is way too much division in America where it comes to race relations, and that some of that division is coming as much from the minority side of things as it comes from the majority side of things. So I know what he was trying to say. What would never get through his head was that he nevertheless said the wrong thing. It's okay to be hyperbolic. It's okay to be exaggerating. What's not okay is to say something that actual white supremacists are going to piggyback off of and say, look at how Scott Adams has come over to our side, which he didn't. He never was in any way, shape, or form any kind of white supremacist. But he was willing to say provocative things to try and get people talking. Hey, Julio. Oh, Julio, you just dropped $10. So I'm going to ask you, do you want me to respin? You did not say respin in this, and you're a late arrival, so I don't know if you know what's going on here. And people, I don't know what the best way to do this is. So here's what's going on. Sean Salters, hold on a second. I just had an email thing pop up in my way. Sean Salters, where is Dave, by the way? Is his grandkid visiting again? That's what happened the last time we had a live stream drought. I hope he's. I always fear that he's like going to be in the hospital or something, or what's going on. So yeah, so Julio just donated $10. Now, if he wanted what that would get him, oh, you got ghosted by Dave? No. Uh-oh, Rippaverse Comics, for some reason. Why do you even call yourself that? Says, here's how to hurt the Rippaverse. Sign up for their newsletter. When you get their emails, mark them as spam. If enough of us do this, Rippaverse's emails will go to the spam folder by default. What? That just sounds like too much work. So Julio, just to let you know, here's what we're doing. $2 will get you a respin. $5, like if you had said $10 and a respin and you had named a comic, I would put 2 more entries for that comic on the wheel, and then we do the shuffle and we do a respin. So right now it's Sean Salter's Silence Do Good. If you're happy with that selection, just leave it be. Otherwise, that's something that will somebody will come in and pitch in and decide, no, I really don't want to see that. But honestly, idea of Silence Dogood is so original that I can't imagine anyone actually is going to want to, um, what do you call it? Change the thing. So, no need. I'm just supporting your channel. Would love to hear your thoughts on Salty's comic. All right. A, A. Campbell says, I'm looking forward to getting my CGC copy of a how-to book. That's hilarious. Yes, if you have not seen this already, let's break away from the wheel of names for a while. Let's go back over to Rippaverse and let's look at the pre-order page for the Rippaverse Way and see what items they have on that. That's amazing, isn't it? Okay, let's go to here. Share this tab instead. All right. And I will admit I bought a digital copy of this book because I just want to see, what all it's about. But this is How to Build a Creative Business the Rippaverse Way, and it is Eric July's template or platform or method for how he built the Rippaverse. So I have no idea. I mean, he hasn't even met his goal yet, but it's not even February yet. He'll meet it. I went ahead and bought in for the digital copy. So, my $12, well, actually it wasn't $12 because he had like a $15 off sale the first day. So, or a 15% off sale the first day. So I think it was only $10. So I went ahead and I plunked down for that. I figured, what the hell? You know what? I don't mind learning. I don't know if the information is going to be good information. Now, Ethan Van Sciver is going to be reviewing that for sure. But look at what look at what we have here. A CGC soft cover of the book. In case you don't actually want to know anything that's inside. You don't actually want the information in the book. You just want to have this collectible. Oh my God. How is that? I mean, I don't understand why he even bothered doing it hardcover and soft cover. I mean, especially if he's going to do this the same way that he does Rippaverse products. I mean, can you imagine if he printed up like a certain number of Rippaverse of hardcover copies and softcover copies and then didn't sell much of anything of the hardcovers? I don't understand why you would do this way. It's almost like this in itself is almost a master class in what not to do. But I don't know. But then again, I've never built a comic book empire, so who the hell am I to say? All I can say is these are definitely not the comic book or the quality of comic books I would have produced. But anyway, Julio, thank you very much for the $10. And we'll see if anybody is so dissatisfied. It's just so dissatisfied with the current selection of Silence Dogood that they actually want to change it to something different. And again, if you've got a question about any of the titles on the wheel that we could be changing the selection to, please let me know. All right. So Scott Adams passed away, and I'm glad he did not go the assisted route. I'm glad he just passed away naturally from his cancer, because I don't know how many people realize this, but that is the kind of thing, even if it's one of these, clinical, or, even if the person has a lot of trauma, those kinds of things propagate across not just social networks, but even to random strangers. I remember, I don't know, this is kind of a dark topic, but there was this one woman who I had some dealings with back in the day, and she was like really she was making plans. Let me put it to you that way. And when one of her friends actually went through with it, she was like trying to research into how her friend did it so that she might do it herself. And it's like, you don't understand the kind of ripples that go through a society when something like that happens. I mean, there's even been studies done that says that when somebody, whether it's like Robin Williams or somebody else, who else went and did that? I mean, not the accidents like, David Carradine or Michael Hutchins, who were really just trying to score a good time and went a little too far with it. But the ones who were actually out to, I mean, Chris Cornell, that guy from Lincoln Park, Chester Barrington. I mean, when you hear about those things propagate across the news sphere and people who are very impressionable and are very depressed. I mean, they will pick up on that and say, "Oh well, you know, if they jumped, I should jump too." It's really a terrible thing, and I don't think the people who do that sort of thing even are really wondering about that, because they may have gotten themselves into a mind frame of, "Oh well, you know, the things will just be better off without me." It's like, yeah, but you don't know who you're impacting to make that same wrong judgment about that you made about yourself to, you know, themselves, and then hurting all those families. So it might not just be your own family you hurt. So anyway, this has been my TED talk. um so anyway, I was glad to hear that he just passed of natural causes, or his cancer. And what else? Scott Adams is actually the reason that I have Julio Scissor says I was kind of low key rooting for Matt Barr's comic, but maybe next time. Yeah, true. Um, Scott Adams is actually the reason I have a YouTube channel. I don't know how many people already know this, but the reason I started my YouTube channel was because Scott Adams blocked me on Twitter, and he was saying something about Trump that was a positive thing about Trump, but it also was not a true thing about Trump. And I was trying to tell him in no uncertain terms, showing him the evidence that what he was saying was wrong, that he meant well, or that, you know, Scott meant well in defending Trump. And what he was defending Trump about, it was a valid cause to defend him about. But the way he was making his defense, it was being completely inaccurate according to all the evidence. He would not listen, and finally he just blocked me. And I wound up thinking, okay, I've just been silenced here. I've just been canceled by Scott Adams. You know, before Twitter canceled me, Scott Adams did it first. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to create a YouTube channel, and I'm going to put out my rebuttal to Scott Adams stuff on YouTube. And so if you were to go back, and I've taken private a lot of my old stuff, just because there's way too much, you know, targeting people for their older videos and stuff, and I'm also trying to rebrand the channel as almost purely comics and stuff. I mean, there's still going to be a couple of things on there that I leave up for the time being, but probably at some point in the future, the channel will go like entirely over to the comic book side, and all the political and religious stuff is going to be, you know, behind a paywall or moved over to another site. But I didn't want to leave myself open to a bunch of attacks. And one of the things that I was getting attacked for was the stuff that I had written about Scott Adams' arguments, not because of anything that I was writing, but I think because I was bringing up the stuff that he had written and talked about, and was representing that in the path of debunking it. And so my videos would get hit now and then, and I'm like, when I appealed, everything would be fine. But I just got tired of putting myself in that position. I mean, sometimes, you know, you got to look at things in terms of, I don't want to lose my platform over, you know, just the one or two things that I want to say. And it's sad, you know, now that I've been booted off of, I've been off of Twitter for like 2 or 3 years now, and maybe even longer than that. And if I had probably exercised better judgment, I would have said, okay, well, you know, I don't need to get involved in this particular discussion, which would eventually be what led me to getting the axe. But at the same time, I looked at that and I was like, you know, I hate the fact that there are people who are making this horrible argument about this person, which is completely undeserved, and I should come to this person's defense. And, you know, and one thing led to another. So, but anyway, Scott Adams is really the reason that I started a YouTube channel. And for a while, I was just doing a kind of a low rent, you know, Scott Adams Hammer 666 kind of thing. And since then, because of learning about Comicsgate and the Rippaverse coming out, things just kind of shifted over into the comic book space, because all of a sudden I realized, oh, I actually have something to contribute in this particular niche of trying to make comic books better. So Speaking of which, it's been a while since anybody's like sent me anything, and I wonder if it's because I don't go out soliciting for it, but because I have stuff to do. I have all these reviews to do. I think if I was getting through all of these reviews much more quickly, then I would be asking people more often. It's like, hey, send me something if you ever want to get an idea of, is this script any good? Is this comic book idea any good? Is this how are these thumbnails? How's the book in general? Because I have gotten some editing stuff to do from certain people, and some of them I still work with on an ongoing basis. So, one of these days I would love to see what as a business I could make out of that, but I'm just not there yet. I've got too much on my plate. Oh, let's see. A Campbell says, I get no interaction on my Twitter, may as well not have it. That to me is surprising because it shouldn't be that hard if you're just doing a quote tweet of somebody else to get some play. But I don't know. The way that I always used to try and get followers when I was on Twitter was that anybody who responded favorably to one of my tweets, I would go ahead and follow, and then sometimes I would get a follow back. And then that would kind of get the circle of notice going. And sometimes there were just certain things that would get me attention, like when Juneteenth came around and I was saying, oh yeah, by the way, in my Cultural Bill of Rights book, I've got an anti-reparations amendment. And then people would just lose their fucking minds. my Cultural Bill of Rights book at that point actually went into the top 30 in its category, which was amazing. I've actually had three books on Amazon that in their particular categories went into the top 30 at one point. I've got screenshots of all of it. Let's see. Mike, just so you know, that was my son debating you on the Christian posts. I tried to tell him that you believe as much as we don't. He's not even 20 and a bit stubborn, so I apologize for that. I'm not even sure what Christian posts you mean. You'd have to give me more information on that because I've already forgotten about it, and I tried to tell him that you believe as much as we don't. I'm not sure. I mean, I was a Christian for 20 years. I converted when I was about 27, and then I left when I was 47. So I think 2017, 2018, was that when? Trying to remember, because I think I was 25 when I converted, and then wait a minute, how does that work? No, well, I was 27 when I got baptized. So I got baptized in a Southern Baptist church, and then I started making some denominational ventures and eventually ended up in the Eastern Orthodox Church as a catechumen, which was not a full member, just somebody who was a learner, basically. And then at that point, I had read enough of both science and religion that I was like, I'm out. We don't want you to feel attacked in any way is all I'm trying to say. No, yeah, everything's fine. Everything's fine. I mean, don't worry about that. Julio Scissors says Cultural Bill of Rights is a good book. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And I hope you left a review on Amazon, because of course somebody on Twitter who didn't like me at the time went and like review bombed me with 1-star reviews on like all of my books, including the ones that she hadn't read because she didn't like my views. And Julio also said, let's see, I use X to follow bands I like and sports stuff. Yeah, that is the one thing I miss about Twitter, is that if there is a celebrity or if there is just somebody in the Comicsgate realm or something like that, or Eric July or any of those, and he, of course, Eric July even has me banned on YouTube, that I can't contact those people and give them, my thoughts on something. So it just kind of sucks. And I know now that, I was getting millions of views at the time that I got kicked off of Twitter. So I was like, God, how much money could I be making now off of that kind of stuff if I were still getting that kind of attention? I mean, I think it was only getting attention because people were just bombing the crap out of me with negative attention. But even so, I mean, if they had left me on and I was able to get some money off of that, I mean, I don't think it would have been a retirement, but it would have been nice. Nice little supplement there. Let's see. The A Serious Man says, you do editing work? Proof it. Good one. Do I do proofreading? Yeah, I do some. I kind of prefer it if people would do like their own spelling and punctuation proofing and also emphasis. I mean, the last book that I actually, full blown edited, which I did a lot of kind of rewriting on the text of. Um, there was no emphasis done throughout any of the book, and I'm like, you do want to emphasize certain words and certain sentences, right? And the guy was just like, just show me what you think should be emphasized. So I had to go through that entire book, and I was like, okay, emphasize these words, etc., etc. Here's what I'd write in place of this. Let's rearrange the dialogue so it fits the panels better and all that kind of stuff. And I was very proud of my work by the time that I was done with it. But oh my God, that was a lot of work. And I really wish that, one of the books that I will be reviewing in the future that I already have a review done for, I'm just a little bit stymied at how some people don't know what needs emphasis and what doesn't. You will see a very interesting example of that, because usually you get an example of people who emphasize the wrong word. And I even saw that in one of Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead books one time, and it was in a very prominent place. It was like a double page spread where this guy shouts out, "We are the Walking Dead," and I'm like, should the emphasis have been on the word "are" like he put it, or should it have been "we"? Should it have been "We are the Walking Dead" as opposed to "We are the Walking Dead"? I don't to this day, I'm just kind of like, that seems like the emphasis was in the wrong place, but I don't know. When you look at the preceding dialogue leading up to that, it's a little bit on the ambiguous side. So that's that's one of those things that it would be almost embarrassing to ask him about at a convention. Excuse me, Mr. Kirkman, may I read this passage to you, and then you can tell me whether or not you got the emphasis wrong on the last sentence. Oh my goodness. Oh, that'd be a hoot. Oh gosh. So anybody who is watching, who is new and catching up, we are the Wheel of Chance has picked Silence Do Good by Sean Salter to be my next review. That is a time travel tale involving Ben Franklin. And if you are interested in seeing something else reviewed next instead, a $2 super chat will get you a respin. A $5 super chat with the title of your choice will get you an extra entry on the board for that. And it will be a lasting entry. It will not go away between live streams. So that's them's the rules. So let me know if you want me to change my selection. So where were we? There was one other comment from Julio Scissors that I wanted to get to. Scott Adams captured 90s white collar office culture perfectly. Yeah, I actually had and one of these days I'm going to have to release it. I actually did like my own low rent stick figure Dilbert cartoon. I had about 26 strips of a cartoon that I called Active Disengagement. And the title refers to the kind of employee who is like the worst kind of employee for your organization, because you could have an employee who is actively engaged. That means somebody who's really cares about the business and he's really trying to help things go better. There is inactively engaged or passively engaged, where the person shows up and does his job but doesn't really care. There's passive disengagement, where the person shows up and kind of does a half-ass job, or just kind of lets things slack. And then there's active disengagement, which is pretty much working against the company and undermining its goals. So I called the strip Active Disengagement, and I did like about 26 low rent Dilbert cartoons that one of these days I'll have to release as a little thing. Maybe if I ever have a channel membership or something, I'll put that behind the paywall. Julio Scissor says, I was in IT for a couple decades back in the 90s, and Adams really illustrated the struggle between the talented and the pointless. Yeah, I don't know if I ever really gravitated too much to his humor. He would get it really right sometimes, and some of his later stuff was just hilarious. Especially when he finally introduced the black character Dave. because for the longest time he wanted to introduce a black character on the series to improve the diversity of the series, but there were two problems with it. Number one, and I think this was the greatest problem, was that when you have a black and white comic, unless you draw the character in such a way to indicate that he's black, he's going to look weird on the strip. He's going to look just like one of the white characters, or he's not going to stand out enough to be able to tell that he's black versus white. Or if they won't go and shade him, they may shade him so dark that his facial features barely even appear. So only in the color strips does he actually look black. But he also said one of the things that he had to watch for was he could not give any black character a flaw that would then come to be associated with a black stereotype or his idea of a black stereotype or something, especially with him being a white artist. So, he thought, I need to have a character who is black, but at the same time, whatever his character trait is that makes him unique, you can't take a black character and make him lazy, like Wally is. That's Wally's thing, is Wally's always looking for the path of least resistance. So if Scott were to take a black character and give him a similar trait, then it's like, oh, he's making fun of black people. That's what he was trying to avoid. And so when he created Dave, the black character in Dilbert, he said, Dave's thing is you'll never know if he's being serious or not. And sometimes it was hilarious because I think the first character that, or the first strip that the character Dave appeared in, he said, the boss says, it's like, here's Dave, he's black and he's helping our affirmative action scores. And Dave says, I identify as white. and it's like the boss is looking at him like, don't know if this is going to count against me or not. His character. So Julio says, true, Adam's black character was never late for work. You know what what freaks me out is that there was a city council member at one time. It was a black city council member who actually took some time at the beginning of a meeting to basically talk about how, white culture is way too much about being on time. If we were having this meeting in Africa, we would comfortably just sit around and talk about our day for a while and stuff. And I'm just like, dude, are you caricaturing yourself? What are you doing? Because I don't know how many people know about this, but there's God, can I even say this on a live stream? But that people of color used to be a term that was in the reverse order. So instead of POC, it was actually CP. And there was a thing called CP time. and that was a, I don't know who invented that. I don't know if that was a term that the black community invented for itself. But to be on CP time was to just basically not really care about showing up on time. So that's a stereotype that has persisted among some. The bass player Julio says the bass player in my band was black, and it's a real time when we used to joke about it. Yeah, I have heard the same from some other black people. And then now I did actually watch a video where I think this was by a guy affiliated with a white supremacist group, so it took things too far, but he was going into the point about some African languages not having words that expressed past and future times, or so that conceptually they would have a hard time with ideas of progressive maintenance, having a maintenance schedule, because that meant scheduling things out into the future, which, that's actually a problem for me. I have a hard time with creating things out in the future that I have to pay attention to, because that just irritates me. I mean, it's an irritant to know that I have an appointment on this or that day that I've got to remember for the future, and I have to set up reminders for myself, and I have to do this or that. It's like, I hate that. I mean, I even, I had a doctor's appointment just recently, and I actually waited until I had the doctor's appointment before I scheduled the next doctor's appointment, even though they had nothing to do with each other, just because I don't want so many doctor's appointments on my mind at one time. Oh my God. Oh, so yeah, I mean, yeah, when I when I found out who was actually hosting this guy speaking, I was like, I don't know if I want. I was thinking about rebroadcasting that. I was like, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do that. But then when I saw this city council member who was just like, we should all be on this time. I'm just like, oh my god, dude, that's not a success strategy. It's not a success strategy. Let's see. Maidenhell says at some point, education systems decided any communication as opposed to correctly communicating was important. So things like grammar, spelling, and what you're talking about went by the wayside. Yeah, and there are people who are even in their older years. I remember I had a friend of mine. I had a friend of mine whose job was to do in-person sessions with people, but he would also do email sessions with people. And in his in-person sessions, he'd charge about, like $100 a session. But in his email sessions with people, he'd only charge $5 an email. And when I saw the quality of the emails that he was sending out, I realized why the disparity, because his typing and stuff, or his spelling, his capitalization, his grammar, it was just absolutely atrocious. I was like, my God, man, how do you even expect to drum up actual business for this with this kind of quality writing? Whoo, Lord. And it may be that he just had one mode for dealing with people via email versus one mode for writing technical documents or something, but my God, it was stunning. Um, let's see. What do we have? Do we have any other yeah, Scott Adams was very sardonic. Julio brought up that. And one of the things that one of the things that I just didn't like was that he would take some of his own rules of thinking and apply them way too strictly. Like he would say, you know, one of his rules for critical thinking was the really test. And the really test basically says if you see something in the news and it makes you go, "Really?" It's probably not true. So if you see a story in the news where it's like the Canadian Parliament gave a Nazi a standing ovation, you're going to look at that and you're like, really? That didn't happen. Except it totally did. It absolutely did. They were honoring some guy and they did not realize that this guy was actually part of the Nazi army back in the 40s. And it was all over the news. I'm just like, see, this is something that fails the really test. You can't just use the really test as if it's just, sacrosanct. Um, so yeah, Scott Adams, I mean, it's sad. And the other thing that was sad is that a lot of people have been fooled by his quote unquote deathbed conversion to Christianity. I mean, let's get serious. What did Scott Adams actually say? He started off his deathbed confession of faith by saying, I'm not a believer. At that point, game over. I mean, come on. You cannot say, I'm not a believer, but I'm going to receive Christ as my Lord and Savior. Like, it does not work that way. You cannot believe and then make a confession of faith. You cannot state you have no faith and then make a confession of faith. Julio says, I thought he was doing a last minute Pascal's wager. Yes, and that is what everyone's getting wrong, because what Pascal's wager says is that it's better to believe than not believe. But Scott Adams at the beginning says, I don't believe. And then at the end, he's saying, I don't believe. So he put himself on the wrong side of Pascal's wager, and it's almost like nobody noticed. I don't even know if he noticed, because who knows? Maybe he had been bullshitted into thinking, all you had to do was say an incantation as if it was some kind of spell. That's what some people seem to think. But no, I mean, there's no, I don't know of any. I would lose confidence in any pastor who took that seriously. I mean, you'd have to probably find an Episcopalian or something. I joke about them because it's deserved. Oh, good Lord. So yeah, Scott Adams, he'll definitely be missed. I know that there is a the Scott Adams Academy or the College of Scott Adams or something that's going on in place of his old channel, but I could care less. I mean, I stopped watching him a while ago. The reason I stopped watching him, let's see, throw Leo says throw all the shades you want as Episcopalians. I know, right? Did you see that? I mean, ever since I lost all confidence in the Episcopalian Church when their leader, Catherine Jefferts Shiori, their you know Archbishop of Canterbury thing or whatever the hell she was, she actually said that the Apostle Paul was wrong to cast out a demon. When I read that, I was like, how did you not just send all of your congregation running back to the Anglican Church just to get the hell away from you and your stupidity? It's just crazy. I mean, I know that's just one opinion she had, but at that point, you have to realize that you picked the wrong person for the job. When all of a sudden casting out demons is the wrong thing to do. you don't get more fuck stupid than that from the pulpit. Oh Lord. My ex-wife is Julio's saying my ex-wife is born again Episcopalian and she's studying to become a deacon. Yeah, that was one of the things, one of and it's funny because when you look at a church and you're trying or a denomination and you're trying to decide whether or not it's the right denomination for you, I would think that one of the things is if there is something that is absolutely freaking clear in the Bible that you're not supposed to do, and this church is doing it, then you stay away from that church. Like LME said, this is exactly where I was going. LME 8337 says, I suffer not a woman to teach. The Episcopalian Church has no problem with women being pastors. Now, the Bible does. There is a passage in the Bible that literally says that because of reasons going all the way back to Adam and Eve, which means you cannot just chalk this up to a cultural thing, that you should not have a woman in charge of the church. You should not have a woman as a pastor over people. Now, why is that? And the reason that the Bible actually gives, if you look at it, is that men are fuck stupid around women. I mean, it's not necessarily a deficiency in the woman, it's a deficiency in the men, and that men will do for women what they wouldn't do for Satan. Julio says, you shouldn't go to church because you're lonely and we want to find strangers who will believe your BS. Yeah, my mom used to tell me, it's like, you should go to church and find a nice girl. It's like, Mom, I don't believe in what they're saying. This was back, before I had converted. I was like, I'm not just going to go trying to pick up chicks. But, that was one of the things was, okay, it says right here, no female pastors. And then you're doing female pastors. What the hell? Why should I have any faith in your church at all? But there is one thing that some denominations, some long-standing denominations do that I think is clearly prohibited in the Bible, but they've done it for over 1,000 years. And it's the prohibition where it says, call no man father. And if you ever go to the Catholic Church, you go to the Orthodox Church, you go to some of these other, high church kind of things, they will call themselves, Father Bill, Father Ted, Father Ray, Father this, Father that. And it's like, that's specifically prohibited by Jesus, that you are not supposed to call one another some kind of title that is supposed to make you something special beyond what your actual role is. When Jesus says, call no man father on earth because you have one father who is God. Now, he's not talking about your actual biological father. That's not the context in which he's talking about. He's talking about within the context of the church. And then all of a sudden we have this, father that. Where did that come from? I don't know. It's like an early corruption. And you can see the corruption in the movie. I don't know if any of y'all have watched the movie Spotlight, which dealt with the sex scandal in the Catholic Church, the child sex scandal. There's a scene in there where the where somebody who was abused as a child says, when you're with the priest, you look at the priest as if the priest is God. And part of that, I believe, is because you give him the title father, even as God is given the title father. It's like you're only supposed to have, in a religious sense, God as your father. You're not supposed to have this guy as a father. Now, that's not the same as saying you can't have spiritual fathers. Because Paul himself, and this is one of the reasons they use to justify it, Paul himself calls himself a spiritual father to some of the people who he brought into the faith, which is fine to call yourself a father to those people. I have served as a father to you, but not to use it as a title. He never called himself, at least we never see any example of him calling himself Father Paul. So you don't take the prohibition and ignore the prohibition because, one of the apostles said, I've served in that kind of capacity. That's not how that works. And so I think there's a credibility problem on the part of the Catholic and the Orthodox churches when they try and justify this kind of stuff. And it's a minor thing, you would think, but if it was that minor, then why would Jesus even said it? Julio says Catholic priests are just middle management. It's like they serve their function because in the early days of the church, and am I stuttering like way too much in my video? Because I think probably I've got too many things open. Let me close some of my tabs. Tab closure, tab closure, tab closure. Just a reminder to everyone, Silence Do Good is going to be my next review for my channel after the ones that I've already got in the tank. And if anybody wants to change that result, a $2 super chat with the word respin will do that. And if you want to add an entry to the board and get a respin, that's $5. So just let me know. Let's see. So back in the day, there was no Bible. You had the Old Testament. That was a mostly complete set of books. But for the first 100 years of the church, you didn't actually have a Bible. You had the priests, you had the bishops, you had the people who were the apostles themselves and their appointed successors. And those were the people who you clung to because you felt you could trust them to communicate the faith. And that's what it means in the second letter of John. If you ever look at 2 John, where he says, they went out from us, but they were not of us, because if they were of us, they would have remained with us. You have to ask the question, what is us? And us was the apostles. Us was the people who held that legitimate appointment by Jesus and anyone to whom the apostles had given that successive appointment themselves. So every priest who is in the Catholic Church and every priest who is in the Orthodox Church and I think the Coptic Orthodox Church, they can actually go and they can trace their lineage all the way back to the apostles. And that's how they claim authority for themselves. Now, there is the Bible as that separate source of authority, and the two should be in harmony. But when they're not, the idea is that the authority of the church should supersede anybody's private interpretation. Of course, now you've got these two giant denominations, Catholic and Orthodox, and they each have their own interpretations of how things work in the Bible and whatnot. And I mean, there's ways in which I can see how the Catholic idea is better. There's ways in which the Orthodox idea is better. And then eventually I just gave up on the whole thing because I was like, none of this is consistent with evolution. It's like, once you understand that, it's like, it's kind of game over from here, guys. And once you understand that, you considering the purpose for which Genesis, the opening chapters of Genesis is written, you can't reconcile evolution into that. There's really no way to do that. At least no way that I've seen. Nobody has ever done it satisfactorily, to my opinion. Julio Scissor says it's like an Amway pyramid scheme. Well, they did have redistribution of wealth, that's for sure. Why does it seem like the lighting is better in my room now? I don't understand that. Maybe YouTube finally adjusted the lighting. Oh, anything. Okay, so Maiden Hell says, as far as I understand, you can ask for forgiveness in your last moment and God will grant it to you before you're asked. That is true. But did he do that? No. Because first of all, one of the things that the Bible does say is whoever would please God must first believe that he exists. And what Scott Adams said was he doesn't believe God exists. And he said he would not believe until, he woke up in the afterlife and, saw God standing before him. It's like, then I'll believe, then I'll have sufficient evidence. Sorry, that's not how it works. The point is to believe in this life. So yeah, I was kind of depressed by all the people who were going around saying Scott Adams confessed Christ. He's a Christian. He's saved. It's like, guys, you don't know your own faith that well if you're actually thinking that. Which is not to say that at the last minute he might not have had a realization that said it just struck me. I realize how this all fits together now. It actually is true. And then sincerely asked God, whom he now believed in, for that. I mean, if that happened, great. Do we have any evidence that that happened? No. So anybody who wants to be hopeful, I don't fault you for that hope. Anybody who has a strong hope based on anything he said, I have to criticize, for you're planting any hope based on that. It would have to be the result of stuff that did not happen in our sight, which is a sad thing, but it would be a great thing if he did. Well, of course, I'm talking from the perspective of an unbeliever at this point. So, what do I know? What do I care? And it's all just part of the game to me at this point. So anyway, yeah, it's okay to have hope about it, and you can always have hope about it, but it's not one of those things where I would have confidence. So let me go ahead and take that off the board. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about that is because that's something that, or that I wanted to talk about Scott Adams in general, is that I over the course of the week, when I'm waiting for the next BTM Reviews live stream, I put together a whole series of things to look at. And I wonder, okay, how much of this are we actually going to be able to pack into the live stream? Because I don't want to be taking over. So what have I got here? What would be interesting to look at? How about this? Why don't we look at John Delaros's AI comic? So John Delarose. Actually, can I do that? Can I actually put in this specific status? Let me see. Trying to pull up John Delarose's AI comic. All right, this looks good. Okay, let me see if I can share this. All right, here we go. Mainel says, I wonder why God comes from the Middle East no matter where you're from. Well, it's an interesting point. Don't know if I can say on that. Let's see. What can I share here? What can I share? Sharing this tab to studio. Okay, no, don't share that. Can I get over to this one? Share. Okay, let's stop sharing. And now you just got me. Let's share window. John Delarose. Share. There we are. Julio says JDA is an odd bird. Yeah, it's funny because he's definitely got some talent there, and especially talented self-promotion. I mean, you have to admire the guy for his self-promotion skills. I mean, I've always been like, God, he's got this, whole mailing list and other regular emails and stuff down flat. And there are times when he really can write. There is a book that he did called The Stars Entwined, which I have been recommending to people because I gave it a 4-star review on Amazon.com. It's a sci-fi novel, the first in a trilogy, and I'll probably pick up the second one at some point when I've got some digital credits to my name. It's a decent book. It was just kind of surprising. I was like, oh, okay. I kind of wish he'd put that same kind of effort into his comics and into his later prose stuff that's based on the comics. Maiden Hell says, I understand the bit about Jesus sacrificing himself so you don't have to. At the same time, was there supposed to be more after the at the same time? I don't know. Yeah, I mean that was one of the major things. And the funny thing is like considering where I ended up in Christianity, I came in through the exactly opposite door. I came in through the Southern Baptist interpretation of Christianity, which has once saved, always saved. It's just, faith alone and all that. And then you go all the other way, all the way over to Orthodox Christianity, which views things through a completely different lens. And it's a really strange lens. And there were things about it that I never really thought were correct, especially some of their teachings about hell. It's like, well, heaven and hell are the same place, except, people just feel it differently. It's like, no, no, there's no analogy like that in the Bible. Just stop. So I don't know what this is. Well, look at this cock coin. What the hell is that? Okay. Don't know where that comes from, but this is some AI generated artwork that John Delarose scripted in, and it's not great. Of course, you see a lot of things taken from the same camera angle, and you want to vary up your camera angles. But if you're like writing this all into a AI generator and it's generating these pictures, this is not terrible work. And one of the other problems is there's the same like generic male template who you can see here, and then you see the same guy here, um, and then you see the same guy here, and then here's the woman. Well, I mean, it could be the same character, but I'm guessing that he's just saying, okay, use generic male template one or something like that to do some of this stuff. It's not terrible is the thing. And Shane Davis on one of his live streams was like, oh, Mike Partico said he loved JDA's artwork here. It's like, no, I didn't say that. I mean, obviously there's things that are wrong with it, especially on the second set of pages. Let me take you over to that. The second set of pages here, or well, make it the third. Okay, so let's take a look at this in particular. She's walking away from the exit, and yet the next scene is of her in the parking lot. So shouldn't she have been walking toward an exit? I mean, oh, and then this guy is, of course, the same generic person in like every one of these. So yeah, there's obvious problems with it, but that doesn't mean that it's horrible in the sense of does it tell the story or not? Telling the story is the important thing. That's always the important thing. You got to tell the story first and foremost, and then clean up what's wrong. By the time I got to the end of these 3 pages, I was like, I actually want to see page 4. Which is more than I can say for having gotten to the end of Shane Davis's Inglorious Rex #1. I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. But by that point, I'd already bought issue #2, so I'm going to have to review that, and then I'm also going to have to review issue #3 as well, since I went ahead and I bought that just to find out what happens, because #2 ends up on such a cliffhanger that I'm like, oh God, I do want to know what happens next, and hopefully this will be the end of it, which it won't be. Apparently, Inglorious Rex #4 is going to be the end of the story arc. We'll see whether I buy that or not. I did not buy the Anatomic issue. I didn't care to do that. I was just not that interested in the character. It's like if you can't make her interesting in the main book, then why would I buy a side title with her? I mean, the only thing I really liked was the Gary Frank cover. Although, did I say Gary Frank? It was the Dale Keown, the Gail Keown cover. But the one thing about Dale Keown, and is it just me, or does he draw like every woman's face the same? Is that something that I'm just noticing, or am I overreacting to that? But it always seems like when I see a face by Dale Keown, I look at that and I'm like, oh yeah, that's Betty Ross from the Hulk. Yeah, that's Margot from the Hulk. That's that's pretty much every woman I've ever seen in one of his comics, except for like the old ladies or something like that, where their features are hyper exaggerated. But if he's drawing a beautiful woman, it seems like it's always the same face. I could be completely wrong on that. It's been a long time since I read his Hulk stuff, and his Hulk stuff is really the only stuff I've ever read of his. So, Maidenhell says a big part of pagan religions is sacrificing stuff you would have had to go to some effort to acquire, whether or not they did human sacrifice. So I can see how that not being a thing would be good. Yeah. Well, the idea is in Christianity is that, and I don't know how much of this you already know. Um, Sorry, I'm starting to burp here. I don't know how familiar the two of you are from what persuasion you're coming from, but the idea of the human sacrifice in Christianity is that only Jesus is the acceptable human sacrifice because number one, it's voluntary. Number two, he's perfect. He doesn't have any sin of his own. And number three, he's also, the divine human. So his sacrifice is actually something powerful. And also it's almost like God taking responsibility for the sin of the world because he's basically taking, what he's not responsible for on himself. So in trying to sacrifice any other human, it's like, well, that human's just going to die for his own sins. So there's no point in doing that. And animal sacrifices are only there kind of as a pointing towards the way to that final human sacrifice in the future where Jesus is offered up. And then there's no need to even do that animal sacrifices anymore because you've got the actual human sacrifice that was necessary all along. So that's kind of the idea in Christianity there. I mean, and it's one of those things where it's like, golly, considering how complex and and actually rational Christianity is when you think about, God being a trinity of persons, being a community rather than an individual, so that the love of God is not like masturbatory; it's actually a communal love. I mean, that in alone is an amazingly complex idea. That is it's hard to explain how people manage to build that. Julio says it's all hibbity jibbity. Well, you can always throw it all out the door, but it's like unless you're talking about John Del Rose's comic here, but it's not. I mean, this comic is actually fine for the most part. I mean, it's not tremendously visually appealing, and it does have its logistical issues with it, but it's still good enough, to carry a story through. But as far as religion in general goes, Christianity, I've read like a whole lot on there. I don't know how many people know this, but there's like 7 centuries worth of post-biblical Christian writings that are available for free on the internet. If you go to ccel.org/fathers, or if you go to tertullian.org/fathers, there is a wealth of Christian documents out there written by people from the first through the 7th centuries. And if you go through all of that, which I did, it's amazing the kind of stuff, the enormous amount of thought that they put into their religion to try and make sense of the things that were in there, to try and preach certain doctrines versus others, trying to squash heresies. There's all sorts of interesting information in there, and you can see how certain ideas take a while to develop, and certain ideas are not held perfectly in the minds of the early Christians. And it takes these councils to kind of hammer out, what is the actual doctrine over time. Let's see. Maidenhell says you have to research things to know they're not for you, right? Yeah, I mean that was one of the things that kind of held me up when I was in my early studies of Christianity, because at one point I wanted to just do a study of all the different churches before I ever got in the door, but that wound up kind of hurting me. I kind of do take the I kind of do think to take the advice of those people who are like, don't worry too much at first about what church you join, just join a church, and then you can do your research into the other churches later. Because if you keep yourself out of it for so much period of time, your desire for it is going to be something that you quash down until it's just less and less and less, until you just finally lose interest. Or either that, or you're going to have a crisis in which you're like, oh, I want to go somewhere, but I don't know where to go, and it's not a good position to be in. So yeah, I mean, these days I don't even know really what to tell people, because when people come to me. Like I have a coworker or a former coworker, and when I was a Christian, I tried to, have talks with him about Christian things and, hopefully get to lead him in. And then, of course, I left the company and then I left the faith. And now he's actually been brought in or is being brought in through his son-in-law, who happens to be a pastor. And I'm just like, I don't know what to say now. I mean, on one hand, I want to kind of say congratulations. On the other hand, I'm kind of like, just make sure you don't hand over all your money. You might want to take this with a little bit of not a grain of salt so much, but some jurisprudence as far as what you might go whole hog into. So I don't know. I don't know what to say, and we didn't really talk about it. LMAE says about the John Delarose comic here. To be honest, this is like those copy paste web comics back in the day. Used to save time. Yeah, I mean, well, when you're a writer, you kind of want to see your ideas hit the page and not have to always hire somebody to do that kind of stuff. So this can be a good way to template things at least. And I know JDA's goal is to really see this develop into something where he doesn't need artists, because dealing with artists, I mean, anytime you're having to bring people into a business relationship, you're going to have complications. I mean, just look at Ethan Van Sciver. He's had people who he's had to either fire or reprimand or just cut ties with on account of business dealings that went horribly wrong. Business dealings that get misinterpreted in the future, like the thing that where between him and Rippaverse, where Rippaverse is like, oh no, I didn't sell you that stuff so that you could use it in perpetuity. I'm canceling the license. Like, well, can you really do that? I mean, do you want to have a legal fight over that? I mean, obviously he doesn't, but I mean, when Ethan was buying the stuff, he was just thinking, this is my stuff to use whenever I want because you made it for me. This was work for hire. And now Rippaverse disputes that. So those are the kinds of things where if you can avoid those kinds of issues, then you likely would in any particular case. What else can we look at? Amazing how stuffed up my nose gets when I start having one of these live streams. I don't know if my voice is getting more progressively more nasal as I go. But let's look at the Rippafest art contest winners. Let me drop that. Stop sharing. And we'll go over to here. Oops. Rippafest winners. And before I do that, let me just go ahead and share one more time. Wheel of names. And we've got Silence Do-Good up for review. So Silence Do-Good will be my next review unless somebody decides they're going to change that with a $2 super chat. $5 super chat will get you at not only a respin, but a new entry on the wheel. So just to give everybody the choice of moving on to some other title that you would prefer to see. So let's see. What are we going to do here? Let's look at the Rippafest winners. Share this tab instead. All right. So the cover or pinup art, first place is Mads Duck. And it's interesting. I mean, it's probably the most original of all of the entries. Second place, Lee Sands. We also have another Horseman cover, and it's Horseman shooting stuff up. The one thing that I'm kind of looking at is, why is it we have like rays of light? Why do we have rays of light like coming through the Horseman's arm? The window is all the freaking way up here. Why would we be seeing any rays of light? This should be complete silhouette. I don't understand that. And where is this coming from? Okay. And then we've got Yaira and this would be a cover for this is a nice generic cover, but there's not really anything particularly inspired about it. She's got, booty slamming right out the back of this thing. Let's go on to sequential art. And now here we have Yaira versus Zaylin, which is an interesting choice. I like the choice of what to do, and now you've got some content. It's like this is almost like ISOM number one. Or it's like, let's have a misunderstanding. I'll grab you by the throat. And then she freezes him and talks some smack, and then he breaks out of it, and it's okay. It's not bad. Second place, we got a couple of pages. Somebody actually, do you know somebody actually complained on my YouTube page about the fact that the guy submitted 3 pages instead of 2? I would assume that even though the rule said you need to give us 2 pages, they're not going to complain if you give them 3. I mean, come on. Now here we have a thing of Yaira and the Horseman, it looks like. So here's the first page. She's given a speech, and then the Horseman like takes this guy off the stage, and then goes all the way out the window with some momentum. We don't see where that's coming from, and they land in a pool, and then Yaira, who apparently changed clothes in front of everybody that she was talking with, comes here. I mean, it's not bad as far as the storytelling goes, although considering they just came out of the building, why is Yaira coming from the opposite direction or floating down from the opposite direction? And where did she float down from? Did she like all of a sudden, in the time that it took to get from here down to the pool, and then everybody shows up, how did she get out in front of this from in front of this crowd without anybody noticing? Oh, and now we've got something from Zephyr. So this how it feels to chew five gum? Is that it? I don't get the gum joke. Let's see. What have we got? Let's see. Not again. Oh no, a car that's going to ram into this guy, and it's Yaira. Yaira's always like everywhere. I'd rather get the cold shoulder, but can we just talk it out? I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. But it's like, I feel like all I can say is it's not bad about most of this. There's fan art coloring, different coloring schemes. I didn't look through all of this, but when I looked through all this, here is like a list of all of the entries for cover pinup art. And I want to see if you agree with me that it doesn't feel like they're sending their best anymore. Used to be, I would see a bunch of different things standing out. Now, this one, let's take a look at this one. Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not great. I mean, it doesn't necessarily get Solari's hair right, and it's all kind of like faded, like blurry on the lines. I mean, this, good Lord. I mean, this looks like anime Horseman. This one is not bad. This one's not bad. It's kind of generic, but they all are. Here you got Rod Looper doing a Blood, Ruth, and Wolves thing. Rod Looper doing another with Norfolka and Wolves. This one's pretty good. Although this one, it looks like this guy's coming in from the side and not really aimed at either of those guys. You got a Saoirse one here. It's almost like a lot of people have this manga idea for their influence. Andrew Floyd, yeah, just played black and white art. I just don't feel like I don't feel like there are so many people who really have talent who are sending their stuff in to Rippaverse. Is it really that rare? And are all the people with that rare talent just deciding, this company is not for me? Lord. Yeah. So, yeah. I just get this feeling like they're not sending their best. This, to me, I like this. I like this picture of Yaira, or even back up at the top. I like this picture of Yaira better than I like the one that they picked as the third place cover. This really does not do it for me. unless you were really trying to go for like a more manga-ish style. And I mean, there's a lot of snow. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. Okay, enough of that. Yeah, Yaira is a fan favorite. LMA says she's a fan favorite. She is, and I don't know why. I mean, I just, oh God, I got done review, or I've got reviews on Yaira number 3 coming up. And holy crap. The Sasuke sisters are not sending their own best. Oh, do we have anything else to look at? I may save some of this for BTM reviews as yet. Of course, let's do this one last thing, and then I think we'll call it a day. We're not gonna. Looks like we're not gonna get any changes on Silence Do Good. It will be Sean Salter's Silence Do Good that does get reviewed, unless somebody at the last minute drops in a super chat to change the results. Got to review that game titled Echoes of Siphion when that Ripazine comes out. Yeah, I think I've already purchased that. I did get the collector's edition this time because, you know, even though I'm sure that the interior of the other comic, I like to buy the cover I like, you know, and I did not like Ripazine number 6's standard cover. I did like Ripazine 6's collector's edition cover, so it's like, okay, fine, you know, I'll give you the 20 bucks for it. But yeah, that'll be interesting. I hope you all did see my short, which I'll feature on BTM reviews. Yeah, the Rippaverse borks its continuity again. So Echoes trailer. Well, let's see. Why don't we go ahead and see what the Echoes of Siphion trailer looks like? Okay, so we're going to go over to the Rippaverse page, and we're going to look at the Echoes of Siphion trailer. Yeah, it's definitely time for me to start thinking about turning in. Rippaverse collections, Ripazine number 6. Let's play the video. Ripazine trailer. And let me make sure I got the right screen shared. Share this tab instead. Here we are. Large factory, yes, nice. All right, so let's take a look at this. Okay, hold on for a second, because it just occurred to me that I don't know if I play this and I don't add commentary, you know, am I going to get a copyright strike or something? So let's go starting from the beginning, and we're going to go through it again. And I need to start adding some commentary in here just so that I can claim this as fair use. Let's see what we got here.
Stories unfold in Flores Park, Texas. We follow them into the depths of outer space and across realms far removed from our own. But back on Earth.
Okay, so he's just taking us around the Rippaverse universe, where we've had scenes like the Flores Park setting, we've had Earth, we've had or we've got, you know, Earth, of course, and I'm not adding anything of value. What the hell am I even talking about?
Earth, there's a region long forgotten.
Okay,
and expand.
So let me go over this. This is a region long forgotten, except we've seen this region before in Ripazine number 4, which only came out like 3 months ago. So how is this a region long forgotten when the characters are talking about it in the present day? How is it forgotten? I mean, they certainly didn't leave it off the map. Oh, and by the way, did anyone notice that this is okay? So this is a post-war map of the Great War, where, you know, the how America wound up after the Great War of Separation. So this is a post-war map. But did anyone notice that in the pre-war map that exists at the beginning of the Great War of Separation number 1, this is already there? Because pay attention to that. He's talking about how this
left shattered in the aftermath of the Great War of Separation.
It's left shattered in the aftermath of the Great War of Separation. So this should not be on any pre-war map, and yet it is. you can see this devastated portion on the pre-war map. It's they bork their continuity again.
Great War of Separation. A place so destabilized that most of the world refuses to acknowledge it still exists. To outsiders,
does that make any sense? I mean, the land obviously is there. I mean, the tasteful thickness says it's isometric, bruh. Large factory says Bromhaus. What the hell is Bromhaus? Yeah, that's the territory that I guess was taken by Germany at some point. Maybe it was taken by Germany in World War II. I don't know. Let's see. So we've got, I mean, when you've got these like huge freaking buildings out there, you kind of think this place has not been forgotten.
It's a no-go zone. Airspace avoided, a land written off as ungovernable. Yet, life persisted. Micro cities emerged, rising, collapsing, changing hands as power shifted. Entities moved in and out. And what remains is one of the most dangerous and most unique regions on the planet. It's here that you'll encounter characters unlike any you've met before, such as Nyler, a nomad.
Such as this really interesting robot that we're going to, you know, completely switch the camera over to some guy.
A man whose journey leads him into Teflon, a city owned and operated by the Talberry Corporation, where order is...
Okay, the Talberry Corporation. Have we ever heard of this corporation before? So why do we care? Who, what, where, why, how? I don't understand that. You know, he says that as if it's something that should be meaningful to us, but it's not. America's chafing my tallberries, says the tasteful thickness. Oh, good Lord.
Is enforced and existence itself must be accounted for.
Oh, this is
where order is enforced and existence itself. A city owned and operated by the Talberry Corporation, where order is enforced and existence itself must be accounted for.
Where order is enforced and existence itself must be accounted for. You know, there is potential in that idea. I will say that. It's not well stated, but this could very well become a referendum on immigration. Let me explain why I say that. Yeah, Nyler looks like Gooding. I almost wondered if this was set in a future Rippaverse, but it's not. It's set in the present day. But I do want to see. Let's see. Let me share this tab. Shop now. What? Where's, okay, Ripazine number 6. All right, view product. Okay, here we go. Let's share this tab instead. Okay, Rippaverse number 6 delivers 50 pages of thundercloud-charged, lore-rich content from across the Rippaverse. Whether you're a varsity Rippaverse fan stepping onto the track for the first time, track reference from Eric July. By the way, he is serious when he talks about how he still holds the record at Texas A&M for a particular 100-meter dash or something like that. I did look it up. This issue of our flagship zine, oh please God, never do another, is your perfect entry point into the characters, stories, and ideas shaping this ever-expanding universe. Yeah, you need to contract it a little. Exclusive short story, Echoes of Siphion, a cyberpunk journeyman story set in a post-war dead zone where existence without a record is a crime. Echoes of Siphion introduces... Oh, what the... Echoes of Siphion, and somehow they missed italicizing the whole thing. Every freaking time. Introduces Nyler. You know, does anybody hear that name and think Newman? Zever Comics says, hello, fellow Texans. Hey, are you surviving the cold snap? Newman. Oh my God. Introduces Nyler, a traveler whose search draws attention when he would prefer to be unknown and stay hidden. Okay. Let's see. Anything else? Yeah, this is all. God, I can't believe I'm paying. Oh God, an early look at salvage lethal force. How much you want to bet? This is just the story from Rippaverse #1, and they're just repeating that. How much you want to bet? So, do they give you any other information other than this? Let's see. No. Oh, just close my screen. Hold on a second. Uh, let's take a look at the covers. Okay, so, oh, damn it. I really hate the two finger thing with the mouse. Have you ever tried using the using your two fingers to do scrolling? Always accidentally putting my third finger on there, and when you do that, it just sends your windows everywhere. Uh, let's see. The tasteful thickness says, I checked out the Soska sisters. They have an interview somewhere destroying dildos or some strange shit. Everything they do is performative shock value garbage. Well, they didn't write this. This one's by Eric July. Let's see. Yeah, but Large Factory says he doesn't want to hold your hand, Mike. Yeah, well. Zever Comics says, I'm in Houston. All's good here. Until the next flood. Yeah, we had some pretty cold temperatures, but right now it is, what's the temperature out now? First go 33 out, feels like 22. I don't know why it feels like 22. Is that because of the clouds? Because it doesn't sound like there's any wind going on. But yeah, it's all probably fine. Yeah, I think I managed to survive. I've had the pipes break in my house twice now, and so I always get really, really nervous. I get to the point where I have to leave the door to my garage open because I don't want to let the pipes burst out there again. That would be expensive. So, I mean, it's going to be expensive to have the heat running as much as I have been, but it's better than having them to come in and break the wall. Hasn't flooded since Harvey for us. How many years back was that? Hurricane Harvey? Hurricane Harvey. 2017. Wow, that's 10 years. Okay, well, yeah, I guess it's fairly safe then. Let's see. So the thing that I thought was interesting about this Rippaverse trailer. Oh, what do we got? A. Campbell said Eric had an opportunity to help the indie community by having the Rippaverse as something people could submit short stories and comics like what that Iron Age magazine was trying to do. Yeah, I never found anything about that Iron Age magazine. That's my first time hearing about it. Let's see. What do we got? Let's get back to this tab with the video.
Brand new journey like never before in the Rippaverse. This is Echoes of Scythian, written by me, Eric July, illustrated by Kanan White, colored by Marcos Mark. A new story appearing in Rippazine issue number 6.
Okay, so we get basically no other information. Considering how relevant the issue of immigration is, it would be really interesting if this was kind of a analogy of that. Like, you can't get into Scythian unless, well, I don't even know what frack Scythian is. One of the things that kind of irritates me is like how there are comics that toss out names like they're candy. One of the things that really irritated me when Valiant rebooted for the third time was Harbinger. Harbinger introduced the new category of Psyot, when used to be they were just called Harbingers, because the Harbinger Corporation in the original Valiant universe was run by Toyo Harada, who was like one of the first Harbingers. And he was, or maybe, I don't know if he was one of the first, but he was an early Harbinger who put together this corporation, and he's out there able to trigger the abilities of other Harbingers so that he can have them come and work for him and build a better world that's under his guidance and control. So that's the story behind Harbinger. Now, they rebooted Harbinger in like 2012, 2011, something like that. Uh, it was actually their second reboot. The first reboot just kind of really redid a whole bunch of stuff. But in the current Valiant universe, the Harbingers are now called Psiots. They're still a Harbinger corporation, but they're no but the mutants, if you want to call them, are no longer called Harbingers. They're called Psiots. It's like, why did you create a new name for this? There's no need for that. You don't need to just toss out names. And that reminds me of another property that's out there called Shadow Sentry, and that's through Rippaverse. Let me find that one. Rippaverse. Oh. Okay, so this is Rippaverse Collected Edition. We're going to look at the trailer for that next. Hello, give me the trailer. All right, let's share this tab. Okay, so now we've got Shadow Sentry. So I want you to pay attention to how many names they start throwing out.
Since the dawn of creation, the forces of darkness have waged war against humanity. Their battles etched in blood. Vampires, werewolves, witches.
Okay, so welcome to another take on the Creature Commandos, Graveyard Shift, whatever. And what else? Black Riding Hood?
Echoes of evil's ancient assault. We once knew these truths, but they faded into legend and lore. Now, the evil one plays a deadlier game. Humans who cross death's doorway return, twisted, imbued with the powers of the fury of hell. We call them...
Okay, we call them. What do we call them? The book is called Shadow Sentry. Shadow Sentry, you would think, means you're on the watch against shadows, right? So these are shadows. You know, these humans who have returned and they have these demonic powers, they're going to be called, right?
Hellborn.
Okay, now.
And they walk amongst us. But heaven hasn't stood idle. It has chosen its own warriors.
Okay. These new warriors then. Maybe they're the shadows. Or they're sentries. They're either shadows or they're sentries.
I was one of them. I led Marines through the fire. Now I lead soldiers of a different kind. Superhumans forged in light. Our mission? Hold back the tide and stop the legions of hell. The war is here, and we all must be ready.
Okay.
Just know, you are not alone.
All right.
We will fight for you.
All right.
We are the Watchers.
Oh, God damn it. What? Why? Why are you calling yourselves that? You got a perfectly good name up here. What the hell?
Guardians against the dark.
Yeah.
We are the Shadow Sentry.
Wait a minute. You're the Shadow Sentry, but Sentry is a single word. Shouldn't you be like the Shadow Sentries? And why are you called the Shadow Sentries when you just called yourself the Watchers? The fuck? I'm just God. It's just, yeah, you know, take like Occam's razor and just slash this freaking thing. We are the Watcher Sentry Shadows. Lord, you know, it's bad enough that you're asking people to, you know, like learn all these new terms, but you don't have to have that, you know. If you had one called the Shadows and you had the other group called the Sentries, you could call the book Shadow Sentry and it would make perfect sense. It would encapsulate everything that the book was about. Yeah, large factories like the Shadow Guardian Watchers of Siphion. Oh my God. But you know, I do have to say, I will say this much. This was a good trailer in the sense that it at least gave you an overview of what the book is. It at least gives you an overview of what you can expect from the book. Now compare that against Daughter's Revenge, which is one of the worst named titles. I mean, there has been. Let me find that. Where can I get Daughter's Revenge at? This is in Rippaverse. Current campaign. Okay, close that thing. Campaign, Daughter's Revenge. Let's go look at the Daughter's Revenge trailer. Lord. Okay, here we go. All right, let's share this. I'm going to share the Daughter's Revenge trailer. Art looks decent. Yeah, I mean, and, you know, after looking at the Rippafest fan page, you're like, yeah, you know, actually, good art is actually important. It's kind of hard to find, isn't it? Daughter's Revenge is when you date a black guy. Shame on you. It's from the Tasteless Thickness. Large Factory says that book sounds so fucking dumb. That you're talking about Daughter's Revenge. Trunk 3PO has no idea what he's doing. You know what was funny is that I actually thought it was Chuck Dixon's book when I first heard about it, because Chuck Dixon wrote El Cazador for a cross-gen. So he was doing a pirate book back in the day, and I thought maybe he was like taking the ideas from that and putting them into this new Rippaverse book. He does have a Rippaverse project on the way, but it's not Daughter's Revenge. Tasteful Thickness says, bro, the art is way better than ISOM. You're talking about the art for Shadow Sentry? ISOM is horrific. I didn't find ISOM's art to be that bad. And honestly, if you look at, I have a video in particular on ISOM #2 talking about when less is not more. I think that's what it's called. And it basically shows how Cliff Richards does a really good job of being able to tell the story that's going on in the book without having to add any text in, which is not to say that Eric July should not have added text in. He should not have left those panels silent. But I did think that Cliff Richards in ISOM #2 at least did a good job of putting sequential pages together. Check out Batman and Joker Deadly Duo and then look at ISOM. Well, I don't generally try to compare against the mainstream because they're obviously going to get like better talent for that. I don't like how Zebra Comics says, I don't like how ISOM looks different in the same book. I didn't see him looking that different from that page. I mean, maybe you can give me some examples of that, but in any case, let's go ahead and look at Daughter's Revenge. Now, this is a pirate story.
There have been 1,000 terrors of the sea,
Right?
born of myth and legend. But there's never been anything quite as dangerous as that man right there. Jonathan Reed.
Okay, we've never heard of this guy. So hopefully you're going to explain more about what this guy is, right? You know, why is he such a badass? You know, his name's John Reed, same name as the Lone Ranger, I think. So what is it about John Reed that makes him special? That's what we're going to find out next, right? Because you've just given us the name John Reed. Why is he such a badass? I'm not hearing any explanation yet. Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Can you give us some explanation now? Live the violence and brutality of the old world. What is this, a role-playing game? Visit beautiful locations around the world. Okay. If I'm going to visit beautiful locations around the world, I hope they don't look like this. You know, I mean, I understand what it is you're trying to convey, but let's not pretend this is George Perez level artwork by any means. My God, I hate to think what Paradise Island would look like this. I'm still waiting for like an explanation of who this John Reed guy is. He started. Yeah. join. Okay, this is the kind of trailer you would put together for a MMORPG, or for even a single person RPG. This is the kind of trailer for that. This is not the trailer for a book. You know, I don't want to join a pirate crew. Do you know how much? Oh God. I don't want to join a pirate crew. I don't mind reading about a pirate crew, but I don't want to join a pirate crew. That life sucks. I mean, what? Daughter's Revenge, and the main character is John Reed. It's spelled. Did John Reed discover a pile of $1 million comics as well? Yeah. Talk about ISOM number 3. We are now the pirate crew. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. The Particatards. Yeah. Is there anything else to this video that tells me who this John? Because I've already forgotten that guy. Here's the thing. You've shown me all this stuff and you tried to involve me in it, but who is John Reed now? You know, who is that guy? I don't even remember him from the beginning. And why in the absolute living fuck would you name your book this? What? I mean, it's almost like you kind of emasculated your book right off the bat. Oh, it's the Daughter's Revenge. You know, it's just no. I mean, it's a Daughter's Reckoning, and that's not even a good title. I mean, when you put a woman's name in the title, it's like, I mean, the Nina, nobody ever cringed in fear at the mention of the names, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Lord, you'll find. Tasteful Thickness says you will find out who John Reed is after the 7th $40 comic. Yeah, it's like if the book is about that guy, I mean, you're basically telling people, if you want to read a pirate book, come and read my pirate book. But you know what? I fucking want to read a pirate book. I have no interest in pirate books. Why should I read this? What about this particular pirate story? You know, it's just like El Cazador back in the day. Why would I want to read about a pirate ship run by a woman? I mean, maybe that was a book that appealed to chicks or something, but it's not something that appeals to me. What is the point of this? I mean, the only El Cazador book that I ever got was actually the one shot that dealt with like the main villain of the book. It was like the Ballad of Blackheart Bill or something like that. It's like, okay, well, that sounds like it might be interesting, but El Cazador in general, no, I could care less. You know, I don't. Oh, Lord. And I mean, I read Sojourn. Sojourn was interesting, and Sojourn was a female-centric book. But Sojourn was also part of the whole, you know, meta story behind CrossGen. And Sojourn was, you know, kind of an epic quest, Lord of the Rings type thing. So I don't understand why it is they couldn't have done the same kind of advertising for El Cazador or built the same kind of story around El Cazador. Well, actually, I will say this. The reason I did not read El Cazador back in the day when CrossGen was out was that I did not care about anything that was not linked to the meta story. If it was linked to the meta story, I would read it. The thing about the sigil bearers and all that kind of stuff, I would read any title that was involved in that, even if the title sucked. Like Brath, which I think also was written by Chuck Dixon, if I remember, for some period of time. I could be wrong about that. I should correct myself on that if that's not the case. Let's see, Brath comic. Brath was written by Chuck Dixon. Okay, so yeah, I was bored as hell by that particular comic as soon as it no longer had anything to do with the sigil stuff. It's like, why am I reading this then? I don't want to read about Conan the Barbarian level shit. Like that's not my genre. Yeah, this video, Large Factory says this video didn't give you one hint of a plot synopsis. That's exactly right. Okay, let's go back to here. Close that. After we see the possible covers. Do we have any covers? We don't have any possible covers? Where are the covers? Holy shit. Oh, here we go. Here are the covers. View more. Okay, so we've got 35 to 56. How many pages is this? Oh, it's 144 pages. Well, that's a heck of a lot of value for that. So Daughter's Revenge. Daughter's Revenge. Oh, God. Why even buy that? And then foil and embossed. Yeah, okay. I'd probably get this one. But I'm not getting it. So let's go back to About Daughter's Revenge. It's a historical graphic novel of faith, betrayal, and blood-soaked justice where honor shatters and vengeance takes the helm. Jonathan Reed was a man of order, a loyal naval officer, a devoted husband and father, and a seeker of God's design in all things. Then the sea took everything from him. After a brutal campaign against pirates leaves his young protege permanently maimed, Jonathan returns home seeking peace, only to find his family butchered. Oh my God, this is Gladiator. And his faith reduced to ash. When grief returns to the righteous fury, Jonathan is branded a traitor to the crown and sentenced to hang, but the sea is not finished with him. Forced into exile. Okay, you're telling us a little bit too much at this point. Forced into exile, Jonathan faces an impossible choice. Cling to the honor that failed him and join the very pirates he once hunted because they may be the only path left to vengeance, truth, and the reckoning owed for his daughter's death. I just don't care. Yeah, I really just don't care. And what if it's daughters? Wait, yeah, okay, whatever. So yeah, let me know how that one goes. Large Factory. How the fuck is this his daughter's revenge? Yeah, well, by proxy, he's carrying it out. It would be daughter's vengeance. Maybe no. I mean, revenge is fine. I mean that's fine. It's just that I just don't care. All right. Let's see. Is that enough for one day? I might leave some of this. Maybe I should just leave some of this, and maybe we'll look at it even on BTM reviews some more. I'll just let's see, Control Z some of this stuff that I got rid of. Okay, I'm not going to bring up Scott Adams dying. Oh yeah, the last thing I was going to bring up was this tweet by Ilan Omar. Oh, shoot. Where is that tweet? See, her comic says Jonathan Maximus Decimus Meridius Reed. Exactly. Does that not sound like Gladiator to you? Okay, let's see. Where is X? I'll go to Ilan Omar. Ilan Omar. And let's get her stupidity here. All right. Copy. And we'll go over to here. Stop sharing. And now we'll share the proper window. Whoops, no, wrong one. No, wrong one. Here we go. Oh, no, wrong one. Now, that's the one. There we go. Okay. So you've heard of the attack probably that happened with Ilan Omar. And Terrence K. Williams, who's a right-wing comedian, said this guy like sprayed some water or some other kind of liquid on her. I don't know what it actually turned out to be. It might have been nothing. It might have just been, some water to freak her out. Any which way, I mean, it's terrible that it happened. It should not have happened. We should never have any kind of violence against our elected officials whatsoever. We shouldn't have any violence against our law enforcement officials whatsoever. So everybody just be aware of that. But he's basically saying that, she went and she got sprayed with this stuff, and then she didn't do anything about it. I mean, she was supposed to there's all sorts of things you should do if you're sprayed with an unknown substance. And this is what the Poison Control Center recommends. This is what her security team should have been aware of that they recommend to do. So if you're sprayed with an unknown substance, you don't know what it is, Get to fresh air immediately. Do not touch your face. Remove contaminated clothing. Rinse your skin and eyes with running water for 15 minutes. Wash with soap and water. Seek medical attention right away. Call poison control for guidance. And he's saying you didn't do anything on this list because it was staged. I don't believe that. I don't see a reason to believe that. I remember when Tom Cruise got sprayed with water at a Oscars thing. He didn't do any of this stuff either. I mean, most people just would not know. I mean, they're just thinking, okay, well, you know, if I'm not feeling something burning, that's a good thing, you know, and I'm fine. I should be fine. Well, you have no idea, but this just looks like some random wacko. So I don't think that, you know, this attack was staged. But what Ilhan Omar says in response to this is, I didn't do any of these things because I fear losing my dignity more than I fear losing my life. Something you coward losers will never understand, so fuck off. Okay, you know, people who fear losing their dignity more than losing their life, I have a word for some of these people, and that word is like, it starts with st and ends with upid. I mean, think about the fact that she is the elected representative for I don't know how many, you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people in her district. And they're counting on her to advance their interests. They elected her to advance their interests. And she's basically saying, yeah, I'm not going to do anything to protect myself if someone, you know, might have just killed me or, you know, might have just sprayed me with some sort of poisonous substance because, you know, I don't want to look undignified. You know, I mean, this is the same kind of attitude that got, or, you know, she didn't want to be inconvenienced, didn't want to look undignified, whatever the hell it is. I mean, this is the same kind of attitude that got Renee Good killed. This is the same kind of attitude that got Alex Preddy killed. I mean, this is like the same vein of stupid that is just, oh, okay, Maiden Hell says it was some kind of apple cider vinegar from various reports. It's like, yeah. I'd hate to be that sticky. Large Factory says this is what got John Reed's daughter killed. Yeah, there's really no excuse to be like this cavalier about your life. You're not being brave. You're being stupid. You're just basically saying, you know, I'd rather all of my work, I mean, maybe she thinks she doesn't accomplish anything in Congress. All of my work, all of my, you know, good deeds for my constituents, the fact that I think I can represent them best of all. I mean, all of that means nothing because I just don't want to, you know, maybe have to take my hair covering off. I don't know. You know, I might have to wear somebody else's jacket instead of my my exterior wear. I'm just like, can you just be smart? I mean, can you stop like being the person who's like, I'm the brave person, you know, standing against the encroaching tyranny of Trump and his minions, blah 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 blah. Yeah, keep yourselves alive so that, you know, your families aren't bereft of you. You know, isn't she married? Does she have any kids? I mean, there's got to be. I mean, even if she doesn't, there's the constituents who are depending on her to represent their interests. They don't want to see her dead. They'd rather see her, you know, in Congress still and doing stuff. There's way too much of this. I mean, I understand, you know, you going out there and doing your job and taking risks. That's fine. But when you've been attacked, you know, you can seek medical attention. I mean. not you don't have to play Teddy Roosevelt's game where, you know, he got like shot and then he kept continuing with his speech. Lucky him for not dying of that. But man, I'm just like, what the hell? I feel like she's just inciting more stupidity on the part of ICE protesters. Because she's going to be like, you know, they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to let my dignity be taken by these ICE agents who are trying to arrest me. I'm just going to, you know, stand up to them. I'm going to fight the power. And yeah, you're going to freaking get yourselves killed. You know, and for what? You know, it's funny because I don't know if Democrats understand how they are definitely shooting themselves in the foot with conservatives. I mean, conservatives at this point are looking at them like, I could care less about what happens to y'all now because you have basically said you're willing to go out and put your lives on the line for people who are not even your fellow Americans. You know, that people who are not even your fellow American citizens, you don't give a damn. You don't give a damn about like American citizens and what the benefits could be to them if we reduce the illegal immigrant population in the country. Because those people do take up jobs that we could be doing. And I know that there are a lot of Americans out there who don't want to do those jobs, but there are also Americans out there who are, industrious enough that they would, if they were given, it's like, what was Eric Weinstein said something to the effect of, for the right amount of money, I will lick your toilet clean with my tongue. So, the illegal immigrant population of this country is what is allowing the conditions out in the field to be as bad as they are, is what is allowing for the wages that the people are receiving to be as bad as they are. We cannot have this kind of two-tiered system and not have it affect us, because then you've got people who are on the welfare programs like Medicaid and Medicare, and who use the same hospitals that American citizens do, and take up the resources from those hospitals, and take up the resources from whatever the various welfare programs are. It's like it's okay to say, look, you're also sweeping up legal immigrants, and that's wrong, because it is. I mean, we should point out if there are any overreaches on the part of the government in trying to handle the illegal immigration problem, that they're sweeping in people who are, God forbid, U.S. citizens, and then the ones who are legal immigrants, and then the ones who are, nonviolent illegal immigrants who we can live with, But at the same time, good God, we had how many, like 12 million come in under the Biden administration? 12 million is a significant amount. 12 million is, well, let's see, how many people do we have in the United States today? What's the current population? Current U.S. population is 341 million. And then 12 million divided by 341 million. Oh, math calculator, yes. Okay. Just freaking, why is it I can't just bring up a calculator? I should just bring up my own calculator. Okay, so 12 divided by 341 equals, so we're basically saying that 3.5% of the people who are in the country are not supposed to be here. 3.5%? Holy crap. That is a crazy number. And that's just the number of illegal immigrants who came in during the Biden administration, I think. Is that true? I don't know. Maybe it was 12 million during the Biden administration, but okay, how many illegal immigrants in the U.S.? How many illegal immigrants are in the U.S.? 14 million in 2023. The highest level was 14 million, and I don't know what the current number is. It's at least 11 million. So we are looking at roughly 3.5% of the population. Imagine that. Imagine you just take 100 people at random, and 3 of them are not supposed to be here. That's freaking crazy. And if we need them here, then we need to reform the immigration system so that they can get here. That's basically what needs to be said, is that we very well could have problems, but just blanket saying, okay, let everybody in who wants to come in, and, we don't have to verify, we don't have to vet, we don't have to do anything. That's just, I don't know. All right, well, that's my soapbox. All right, last chance if you want to change the Wheel of Names results. We've got Silence Do-Good coming as the next review. That is Sean Salter's Ben Franklin story about a young Ben Franklin who gets involved in time travel somehow. And Silence Do-Good, that's a anonymous pen name that he went by, a pseudonym that he went by when he was trying to get editorials published in his brother's newspaper. So he managed to get some of his voice out by taking pen names. So anyway, that is the one that we are going to be doing next. So thank you all for participating in tonight. Thanks again to Julio Scissors for the $10 super chat donation. You can also do, I mean, if anyone's not satisfied with that Silence Do Good result, you can donate $2 with the word respin, and I will spin the wheel again, and I will be doing something else. And also, if you want to put an entry on the board of an extra entry for one of the 16 titles that's there before we respin, $5 super chat or above will accomplish that. Multiple entries for each $5. So, but it looks like for tonight, we have selected Silence Do Good. And I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. It is almost midnight here by me. I think I have talked myself out. And now they're saying a cold advisory has just been announced. God, not again. Not again. All right. Okay, thanks all. I will see y'all later. And keep watching. I will be dropping reviews. The next review that's going to drop is John Della Rose's The Emerald Array. So the third book in his series, The Terran Imperium. If you haven't seen my videos on his books Overmind and The Hidden Emperor, go ahead and check out those reviews. Those are the first two books in the Terran Imperium series, and this is going to be the review of the third, The Emerald Array. So be on the lookout for that. You know, Large Factory says, JDA, what a fucking hack. He has written some good stuff. If you go back and you look at his book, The Stars Entwined, that is a good novel. I have not read the sequel to that or the concluding book in the trilogy, but that is worth picking up. So if you ever have like some digital credits and he's running a sale or something like that, go ahead and pick that one up. I would recommend it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Amazon. So okay, thank you everybody. Appreciate it. We'll go and see if anybody else is live streaming, and I will talk to y'all later. Stop sharing and let's go.